Kiran, the protagonist, determined but skeptical. Arjun, Kiran's friend, more fearful and cautious. The entity, a ghostly force haunting the house. A dense fog blankets the surroundings. The house stands like a decayed skeleton, its windows dark voids. The wind whistles through broken wood, and whispers drift through the air. Arjun, whispering, "Kiran, I don't like this." Kiran, "I have no choice. My grandfather's deed is inside. If I don't find it tonight, we'll lose the land." Arjun, "Can't we come back in the morning?" A sudden gust of wind slams the front door open. A chill runs down their spines. Whisper, hissing, "You are already inside." Kiran and Arjun exchange nervous glances and step forward. The house is suffocatingly silent. Their flashlights reveal faded wallpaper, cracked walls, and cobweb-covered furniture. The air smells of mold and something rotten. Arjun, "Let's find the study and get out." They move cautiously. A faint creaking noise follows them, as if unseen feet walk in sync with theirs. Arjun suddenly stops. "Arjun, did you hear that?" Kiran, whispering, "It's just the house settling. Keep moving." A distorted chuckle echoes through the hall. The lights flicker. Whisper, "Welcome home." The room is suffocatingly cold. A large wooden desk sits in the center. Old papers are scattered across it. A grandfather clock in the corner ticks abnormally slow. Kiran, searching. "The deed has to be here somewhere." Arjun, "Hurry! This place is wrong." As Kiran searches, the whispers turn into distant, agonized cries. The clock ticks erratically, then stops completely. Arjun's flashlight flickers. In its brief flashes, a figure appears behind Kiran, closer each time. Arjun, shaking, "Kiran, behind you?" Kiran turns. Nothing. But in the mirror above the desk, he sees it. A figure with hollow eyes and a stitched mouth. Entity from mirror, whispering, "That deed is mine." The mirror shatters as the entity's reflection lunges at Kiran. The room is thrown into darkness. Kiran and Arjun sprint down the hallway. The walls seem to stretch endlessly. Arjun, panting, "We need to get out, now!" Doors slam shut behind them. Shadows ripple along the walls, reaching for them. Kiran, "This isn't real. It's in our heads." Suddenly, the hallway bends, warping unnaturally. The ceiling stretches into darkness. The floor beneath them feels like breathing flesh. Arjun grips Kiran's arm. Arjun, "Kiran, what if we never left? What if we've been trapped here, all along?" Kiran's eyes widen. The whispers grow deafening, overlapping with distorted laughter. They reach the front door. Kiran yanks it open, only to find a black void outside. No sky, no stars, just nothing. Whisper, mocking, "Go ahead, leave." Kiran turns back. The house now looks pristine, untouched by time. His grandfather's voice echoes down the hallway. Grandfather's voice, "Kiran, come inside, child." Tears stream down Kiran's face. His mind fractures. Kiran whispering to himself, "This isn't real." Arjun suddenly screams. His body contorts. His mouth stretches unnaturally wide. The entity pulls him into the darkness. Robbie sighed as he parked his old scooter in front of the decrepit warehouse. The sign above read, "Aaron Textiles. Factory Unit 3, its letters faded and chipped." This was his first night shift, and he wasn't thrilled about it. He adjusted his uniform and glanced at his coworker, Prakash, who leaned against the entrance and smoking. "Ready for the graveyard shift?" Prakash smirked, exhaling a thin cloud of smoke. Robbie forced a smile. "Not like I have a choice." Their job was simple: guard the empty factory overnight. The owner, Mr. Menon, insisted on security despite the factory shutting down years ago. People said it was haunted. "Ghosts, huh?" Robbie had joked during the interview. Mr. Menon hadn't laughed. The inside of the factory was a cold, hollow maze of machines covered in dust. A single bulb flickered in the hallway, leading to the security office. As Ravi and Prakash settled in, the night dragged on in eerie silence, broken only by the occasional creak of metal contracting in the cold. Around 2 a.m., Prakash nudged Ravi. "You hear that?" A faint tap, tap, tap echoed from the corridor. It was slow, deliberate, like footsteps. Ravi swallowed hard. "Probably rats." Prakash grabbed a flashlight. "Let's check." They stepped into the dimly lit corridor. The sound grew louder, but the moment they turned a corner, silence. No one. A chill ran down Ravi's spine. "Let's go back." As they turned, the bulb above them flickered violently, casting long, jerky shadows. Then just as suddenly, it went out. Total darkness. And then, a whisper. "Go. Back." Ravi's breath hitched. His heartbeat pounded against his ribs. Prakash swung the flashlight frantically, its beam cutting through the darkness. "Who's there?" Prakash's voice trembled. Silence. Then a shadow moved at the edge of the light. Not a rat, not the wind. Something else. The flashlight flickered, and for a brief second, Ravi saw it. An emaciated figure with hollow eyes watching them from the corner of the hallway. Prakash gasped. "Run!" They bolted back to the security office, slamming the door shut. Ravi fumbled for his phone, but there was no signal. "What the hell was that?" Ravi whispered. Prakash shook his head, trying to steady his breath. "I don't know, but I don't think we're alone." Minutes crawled by. The factory was dead silent. Then, bang! Something slammed against the door. Prakash grabbed a metal rod. "We need to leave." He reached for the door handle. The lights flickered, and the door swung open on its own. Beyond it, the hallway stretched endlessly, longer than it should have been, and at the far end, the figure stood motionless, staring. The shadows around it twisted unnaturally. Prakash took a step back. This isn't real." The figure tilted its head. Then, without warning, it charged. Ravi and Prakash screamed, stumbling backward. But as the figure reached them, it vanished. Only the cold air remained. Prakash, pale and shaking, muttered, "We need to get out. Now." They sprinted to the main door. Ravi yanked it open, only to find a brick wall blocking the exit. "No, no, no! This was open before!" Ravi panicked. Prakash backed up. "This place, it's playing with us!" Ravi's mind raced. He recalled rumors about the factory's closure, about workers who mysteriously vanished during the night shift. "We need to find another way out," Ravi said. They hurried toward the warehouse floor. The machine stood lifeless, covered in dust, except one, a sewing machine, whirring on its own. Prakash stepped closer. The machine abruptly stopped. Beneath its needle was an old yellowed photograph. It showed a group of workers, except their faces were scratched out. Below the photo, a message was scrawled in dried blood. "We never left." A deep, guttural growl echoed from the shadows. The temperature dropped. The air became thick, suffocating. Then one by one, the machines turned on by themselves, their metal arms moving erratically. A deafening screech filled the air as the factory came alive. And then, they appeared. Pale, hollow-eyed figures emerged from the darkness. Their mouths were stitched shut, their limbs jerking unnaturally. Prakash grabbed Ravi's arm. "Run!" They sprinted through the factory, dodging machines that sparked and whirred dangerously. A metal door loomed ahead, an emergency exit. Prakash reached it first. He grabbed the handle and pulled. It wouldn't budge. Behind them, the ghostly figures closed in. Ravi threw himself against the door, pounding. "Help!" Then, hands grabbed Prakash's shoulders. The creatures yanked him back, their bony fingers digging into his flesh. "No, no!" Prakash screamed as he was dragged into the shadows. Ravi turned in horror. "Prakash!" But Prakash's screams were drowned by the whirring machines. And then, silence. Prakash was gone. Ravi's body shook as he backed against the locked door. A whisper slithered through the air. "Join us!" Cold fingers brushed against his neck. He spun around, but there was nothing there. The world around him distorted. The factory melted into darkness. And then, Ravi was standing in the hallway again, just as he had been at the beginning of the shift. The lights flickered. The machines hummed. Footsteps echoed behind him. Ravi turned and saw Prakash standing there. His eyes were empty, his lips stitched shut, and behind him the other lost workers grinned. A single horrifying thought entered Ravi's mind. His shift would never end.